Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let's stand for prayer, followed by the pledge. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this privilege and opportunity to represent the citizens of our county. We pray that you'll be with us in this meeting as we consider the business before us. Lord, we thank you for your blessings and your protection. We ask you to continue to do so. In Jesus' name, amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for agenda business. Public comment? Do we have anyone signed up for public comment, Sheriff?
Mr. Devise?
Richard?
Yeah, I said I wouldn't come back, but I just had something real short to say. And I came here several times and listened to people talk. In the community, need money for this and need money for that. And I came in about cams for the county sheriff's department and been told they didn't have the money and the CARES Act. Well, you know why these communities don't have the money? Is because people like Mooney, Capito, Mansion, and all of them give these big tax breaks to these corporations like Bruce and all these other businesses. And these small communities suffer. The police suffer, EMT suffers, community services suffer, and then people want to come in, representatives from Mooney's office or Capito's office want to come in and say, well, we'll help you with the CARES Act. And you got to go through all this trouble with the CARES Act. Well, they know that's all that is taxpayer money. They're giving you your taxpayer money. They ain't doing nothing for you. And then when they come to town, all these people, the representatives, they run over top each other, they shake their hand. They ain't doing nothing for nobody. And then, you know, people suffer. Like I did, everybody knows my story, I'm not gonna get into it. People like I suffer, the community suffers, because these people have to go through the CARES Act. It's happened all over the country. I just think it's sad when you call in and try to get something, you say, well, we don't have any money, we don't have money. There's plenty of money. It's just money for who it is. They got tax breaks for people like I.L. Morris. They got tax breaks for Bruce. They got tax breaks for the guy that lives down in Colton, Rossi. Everybody, they got tax breaks for them, but they ain't got no money for the people that really need it. And I think it's sad. And I don't know why the people in this country don't stand up. I guess they're just a bunch of pack of cowards. That's really the only thing it is. You try to stand up and all you do is get beat down. But, because I have my feel of the justice system, and it just don't work. But I appreciate you guys listening. And I just think, I was gonna try to work for the CARES thing, and I ain't gonna waste my time. Because you know who ought to be working for it? Mooney. The guy representing Mooney, he ought to be getting us the money. He ought to be stopping the tax breaks for all these rich people, or Capito when they come to town. I don't know why nobody says anything. No, Jim Justice comes down there and want to give him the bump. That guy ain't gonna do nothing for nobody. But I appreciate you guys listening, and everybody have a nice day. Thank you.
Anyone else, Sheriff?
No one else.
All right. Minutes from previous meetings?
Okay, I move that we approve the minutes as submitted from the regular Randolph County Commission meeting, which was held April 15th, 2021.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the minutes from the April 15th meeting as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from the special session meeting that we had on the 20th of April for the levy rates.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the minutes of the meeting on the 20th of April to approve the levy rates. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, reports. Let's see. Cindy, welcome back. Glad you're back. Glad you're feeling better. Do you have a report? Kurt?
Commissioners, full-time staffing complete, 30 full-time, 12 ambulances, 3 stations. Everything's been running well.
Awesome. So you just got a full staff here?
Last board meeting we had 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago.
Fantastic. Glad to see everybody's back, and I saw the paper where you don't have anyone that's out with COVID protocols this
No,
time?
sir.
Outstanding. All right. Let's see, Sheriff?
I dropped off a real and personal property delinquent tax list, to you guys, gave it to Brenda. If y'all wanna look at it or, take a minute, it'll take more than a minute. If you wanna look at it, it's quite a list. And that's all I have.
Okay.
That's delinquent.
Brenda?
Nothing to report.
All right, let's see, did I get everybody? Oh, Rhett, yes.
Commissioners, good to see you. As always, the congressman's always willing to assist if you, identify grants. The other day I forwarded on the, part of the COPS, notification of, opening for COPS grants to the sheriff and also the police chiefs, and, also, just letting you know that, whether it be body cams, body armor, whatever, whenever a grant is identified, the congressman's more than happy to write a letter of support for it.
All right.
And also, he's gonna continue to do the, grant workshops to help people identify the grants.
All right, thank you.
But other than that, we're just plugging along. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Notice we got the mayor, the new mayor, Jerry Marco. Mayor, would you like to say anything on behalf of the city?
Actually, I'm fine right now, thank you. We have our council meeting tonight. If you'd like to attend, you can show up then. Thank you. 7 o'clock.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. We also have a trooper with us today. Do you have anything to say, or you just wanna?
Just to introduce myself to some of the folks that don't know me, I'm Sergeant Simmons. I'm the detachment commander of the state police here. I took over in November. I've been stationed here now since January of 20, but I took over as detachment commander. I grew up here. I just left 16 years ago when I went to state police, and I bounced back and forth between Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and Virginia, and everywhere in between. So I'm back. I'm back for probably the next several years. So looking forward to. I look forward to coming back here and working with the other agencies and entities here, and just wanted to participate in the meeting and hear what's going on with the advisory board and go from there. I've been on boards before in previous counties and assignments, so just here for see how things are going.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Welcome home.
We're glad you're here. Look forward to working with you. Thank you for being here. All right, let's see.
I'll let you know how old I am. He used to ride in a cruiser with me when I was a deputy sheriff, deciding if he wanted to be in law enforcement.
You are old, aren't you?
That's how young he is.
That's how young he is and how old I am.
All right, correspondence. We have any correspondence, Chris? All right. Announcements, just a couple announcements. Next meeting, regular meeting will be the 20th of May at 1:30 here at the Courthouse Annex. Also, I wanted to give you an update on the roof project that's happening at the jail. If you will notice that the construction work has paused on that. And the reason it is because when they began, the scope of the project was to take the tiles off, to clean the tiles and put the tiles back on. What happened when they began to take the tiles off, they were more brittle than they expected, and they lost a lot more tiles. And there was a supplier that had a limited number of tiles, but they're not gonna be enough. So what they are going to do is replace the tiles that are on the courthouse, on the jail now, with the ones the synthetic ones we put on the courthouse. And, it's been approved, should be approved by SHPO without any issues, because they approved it for the other building. It'll make it more consistent, but we're gonna lose those tiles, unfortunately. They will be able to recycle some of the ones that aren't broken or damaged, but they're losing a lot of them. So they're gonna have to come back, take all that roofing off, and replace them with the synthetic tiles. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to remove those and get rid of them. So, just wanted to let you all know, that's the reason why there's been a pause on that. And as soon as they get the supplies in, they'll be back and working on it. So just wanted to.
Well, maybe they can help on another project.
Yeah.
Protective tiles for another project.
Yeah, hopefully, if they have another one like this, they may be able to get enough from ours with what they have from the supplier that they may be able to help them. So, but unfortunately, it's not gonna work for us. There's just too many tiles that have broken. And they've been trying to repair them, and they're concerned that, with the repairs that they're doing, as many as there is, it could cause leaking and just additional liability. The great news is they're going to cover the cost of those synthetic tiles. So it's not gonna cost any more money out of our pocket to do it this way, and it's gonna allow them to be able to get in here and get out. And the great deadline is the 30th of June, so they're trying to get it done before then. If not, we'll have to apply for another extension, but they're trying to get it done by the 30th of June. So just wanted to let you all know, the update on that, all right? Any other announcements? Okay.
I don't have any.
Items for action and discussion. The first one is informational presentation from the Elkins Historic Landmarks Commission. And so, we have, Mary Ann Durling is here, as well as several others. Who all are here representing the?
All of the commissioners are here.
Awesome.
David Turner, our vice president, Carol Carter, who's one of our commissioners, Priscilla Gay in the back, who is our treasurer, and Madeline Humphreys, who is our secretary.
Welcome, we're glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna just let you look at these are some of the things I'll talk about. And if you don't mind, I'll put the computer over here so you can see the presentation. And, remove it from there. And I'll kind of move over here, around here too, so I can tell you what we're looking at. Okay, so, we are Historic Landmarks Commission, and, that is the Darden House where we currently do business. These are the members. I'm going to, give this to you so you'll be able to do things and pass it around. I'm gonna talk just a few minutes about, the fact that we are a certified local government. That's an important thing to be. Would you all mind if I took my mask off?
You go right ahead.
Thank you. And the Elkins Commission, some past work that's been done, our current work, talk about the Darden House, our budget, the future, and then standards and resources. So the first thing is we do have a mission, and it's to serve the city of Elkins by providing leadership to the city. And that leadership includes education about preservation, it includes some governance and advocacy, and it's all around preserving our historic places and revitalize our community. Every historic commission, though there are very specific guidelines, is always focused on its own community. So Elkins has a very specific history, and that's what we would focus on. Elkins probably became a certified legal local government around 1990, maybe before. I've seen an ordinance that had a second reading in 84, but I've never seen the final paper on that, and if it was signed, but I don't know if that was the actual document and it was written into the ordinances or not. So, but we do know at 84, they were working towards becoming a local certified government. And it's an application you have to go through. There are certain things you have to do, and what happens is there are some criteria, and one of those criteria is to have some sort of a commission, a preservation commission, that follows federal and state and local laws. According to our ordinance that we have followed, we don't do and are not allowed to do everything that could be allowed by a preservation commission. This document, which there is a link in the PowerPoint to it, kind of lays out what commissions can do. So they go all the way, commissions go all the way from like what we do, education, advocacy, applying for survey and development grants, to actually having review boards. So if people want to tear down a building, some commissions actually have the authority to say, you can't, or, you know, it's too important, or things like that, which is a lot of power for a commission to have. We were formed probably in that ordinance in 1984 that I read about, but it could have been as late as 90, I'm not sure. The 5 members serve for 5 years each. We are somewhat rotating. To be this local government, certified local government, you have to have appropriate state legislation. You have to have, an adequate and qualified historic preservation review commission by state and local legislation. We do not necessarily have a review commission. You have to maintain survey and inventory system, we do that. Every time we do a survey, and confine a district, we find every building that's in it that's historically significant, and we have pictures in the documents about each of those buildings. So we do have that. It should provide for enough public participation, which we would like to include a little bit more of, and particularly in nominating buildings. We just finished a survey grant of the Graham Davis District, which is around Randolph, down Delaware, center, comes up around the post office and back around again, Scott Street, and that sort of area, a little bit more than that. And with the combination, there's, I think, 197 homes that could have historic distinctions because of architecture and age and so on. And we have the documents and that tell it why it would be one of those that was part of the, what do they call that word?
Significant properties.
Significant properties, yes, thank you. So that's there, and then we satisfactorily work under the law, you know, and so we should work very closely with the city government. I think that that relationship is building, that working with city government, City of Elkins government, they own all of the property of the Darden House, the Carriage House, and that property. We lease that from them, and so the work that we've done through the years, 98 on, that I was able to find records for, have been things like the Downtown Historic District designation, the Weiss District designation, the Graham Davis, which we just finished, the AmeriCorps hands-on team. We've often worked with their hands-on team, paying them to paint internally, do the porch, do some work on downstairs windows, you know, things like that. We had a development grant for repairs to the Darden Carriage House. Didn't put carriage in there. And then we also did, oh no, here it is right here, the development there. So this one, we did some repairs in 1998 and 2000. They did repairs, which included the roof, and was also a partnership with the city. And then we just finished the Carriage House repairs, roof and some mortar work. So there are a lot of things that we have done. We are an all volunteer, we are an all volunteer board. We have had AmeriCorps, but that has not worked as well for us as we would have liked, but we have had a lot of help from them. So currently what we're looking at now is working with Main Street. We're having a design review of the Darden House. An architect has come in who is a specialist on preservation and historic properties, and he will look at the interior and the exterior to tell us what minor and major repairs need to be made and what could be done with the house and what should be fixed now for any problems that we're having, and he'll identify those, and then things that eventually, if we get grants and so on, we might be able to do. We rent out the second floor. We have 4 offices. We have an office on the second floor, and we rent to 3 others. We try to rent to nonprofits or small businesses just starting out, and we don't charge very much, mostly because we had issues in the past with people just camping out there using it as storage and stuff. So we've been very careful about who we rent to. We're also looking at an extension to the historic downtown district. Right now it only goes so far, And what we'd like to do is extend it up to Randolph Avenue, maybe include those buildings along Randolph Avenue. That hasn't totally been defined yet, what that extension might be, but that is something that we will be working on, where the extension should be and that type of thing. And then we're also working with Maplewood Cemetery. Maplewood Cemetery, by law, by a judge's order, had to be turned over to a Maplewood board, and so that has happened. The board has been formed. I'm a member of the board, and then I have a copy of the deed to the Maplewood property, which will go to that board of trustees. So they will own the property and so on. The biggest issue was getting insurance, which I think they've done. So we have not met as a board of trustees yet, but I'm sure that will be coming up. So people have been very interested in that, and it was part of Davidson Elkins College. So it has a real historical significance. Now, one thing about cemeteries that's different is that anybody buried in the cemetery who already has significant structures as historic monuments and designations can't be included as an important. So that takes out Davis and Elkins, the two biggest ones here, but there are lots of others that are there. So I don't think it'll be a problem. The Darden House was deeded to the city in 1997 for $10. That would be all the property around, and then we lease it. And to give you an idea of our budget, our total income is $7,900. Board members contribute a lot financially in small ways, things we buy it. We do get currently, which is what our expenses generally are, so it's about $603 a month. Other expenses that we have are for each survey grant that we apply for and receive, which is the naming of a historic district, we have to pay 30% of the total cost. And when we do these survey grants, we generally have to hire someone who knows how to do these. There are very particular forms that have to be filled out a certain way. Every piece of property has to be looked at and cataloged and photographed, and a history of it, a little history of it, has to be included in the documentation. So 30% of that one. Now, we just finished one for $10,000, and we had to wait because we do get reimbursed, but we don't have a lot of money, and so financially we had to wait till we got repaid for the first reimbursement so that we could then pay the second payment and so on. So it gets a little tight. I know Priscilla was very upset because I think we were down to about $400, something like that, and it's like, when's the money coming in? For the development grants, we pay 50%. Development grants are generally building, construction types of things. And then our costs are reimbursed after we pay for them. So, we're pretty tight financially. There is potential work that we can do. This is what the National Park Service supports, and we are under the National Park Service. So we follow the interior design standards, all of those we follow. And there are things, we can help people with tax incentives, provide information to them. There are all kinds of grants and how-to guides and things like that we could purchase and then do workshops and be able to pass out, or we can send people to the internet and they can print them on. So there's a lot of things that we can do. We can do training. For example, what would we like to do if we had a little bit more money? Well, we know the roof needs some repairs, and that will be with the city. And we may work on a grant with them to do that. The stained glass windows need repairs. Back porch ramp, back doors. Some of these, we could actually, if we had a little money, pay for these things ourselves. We've done things like redo the kitchen, and the city helped us pay for that and so on. The city is actually responsible for the interior and the exterior. I don't think they fully understand what that means in terms of maintenance of properties, but they are looking at that. They have asked for all the properties in the maintenance schedules and things like that. So I think that's a very good beginning. We have a third floor. We don't know if we can use it. We'll find out after the design study is finished, but we could move our offices up there in storage and rent another office. So we don't know how that might play out. Now let's just do next. We could do workshops, fundraising projects. They used to do garden parties when there were more retired people on the commission or people who weren't working full time, and those would be fun to do again. We've done open houses. We did an open house at Christmas before the lighting of the tree, and that was very successful. People love the Darden House, so we do focus on it because we are in it and people like it, and it can be a venue. We would like it to eventually be a venue where people could have parties and small events. People often have meetings there, small meetings. I have one tenant, and she works with grandparents from all over the state, in a particular region, I think 4 or 5 counties. They love meeting there. They love that house. They love going through the first floor and looking at things, and the second floor. I mean, they just really people love the house. So we would like to be able to have that venue, which is really the only venue in the downtown like that could be opened eventually for tours with the trains and the things like that, you know. And we'd like to get to that as well as having it for events. Other things we can do are the grants, of course, and then other signage on houses and businesses. We could do a walking tour, which we could then talk with businesses about putting more information on their buildings, maybe about who lived there or who built it, or you know, more of a descriptive kind of thing rather than historic district house, you know, national, on being on the historic. There are standards. I've put all these in for references. They have hundreds of standards, so if you want to do something, we could help people find these. There are resources. This is the partnership notes. This goes to that. Tax resources all over the place for people who want tax, and you know, we could work with that, and tax experts who they will come in from SHPO and from other resources to help us do these workshops. Tax, technical, historic masonry deterioration. So they can come in and they will help do it, as well as other people around here. And then other examples, that's just what's in there. Any questions I can answer, or anybody else can answer?
So the city owns the Darden House?
City owns, just like they own the Kump House. They own the Darden House, the garden out there, and the carriage house. That was deeded to them, that whole set of properties. And then the Woodford House was the one that was next door that was torn down.
So now, didn't see, I saw what your annual budget is, but how are you funded? Does the city provide any funding for that?
Yes, I thought I showed that. Let me see here. We get, here's our income. We get about $3,900 from rent, and then we get $4,000 from the city. So it's a very, very tight budget. And we would like to be considered for funding, so that we could know that when we, and generally when we apply for a grant, we do get the grants because they like Elkins. We've tended to write good grants, and they like that we do things here, you know, and stuff, and so we get them. But then, you know, it's the paying for the upfront costs that we may have to do.
So do you have any grants applications that are coming up? Cause you said you just got, I think you just got a survey grant?
Finished, we
Finished?
finished the
Okay.
two.
All right.
We finished the survey grant and the carriage house development grant. And the ones that we have coming up that we are going to be working on are extending the historic, district, the Elkins Downtown Historic District. We want to work on Maplewood Cemetery, with the Board of Trustees of the cemetery. There's a whole different set of criteria for cemeteries, so we have just barely, started working on that. And, that we have the design and review, which will give us, a very detailed idea of the kinds of things that we could work on, small projects and big projects.
I'm intrigued by, you mentioned, about the tours that could, add to the tourism aspect. And so where are you as far as that, in that planning stages are concerned? You guys already have something, lined up that you're gonna do?
We don't have anything lined up. We could do tours. We would have to, decide among the board how we would do them, when we would do them. Would we hire somebody, cause we're all volunteers. So it's like, do we each take a night, or do we hire someone who might be interested in this and do tours of the building? So theoretically, we can do tours now. There are certain places we would not want them to really go into, like the upstairs, but that can be, they can see up the steps, and there are lots of other things to see. And talk about the building and so on, and the design of it, and do that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Joy, one of the things we had discussed is that, if we were able to get some funding to go into the downtown area and actually put up these plaques that would have, as Mary Ann said, have all the details of who built the house, who lived there, what its significance is to the community. And one of the things that, too, is that we were built on the railroad, and so we were talking about when the people from the railroad comes in. Now we've got the rail trail right that's back there behind the train, yard. This would be an excellent, way to get people to come, not just to the train yard, but to come into the town and to go look around Elkins, and that way, and it could even be a self-guided tour, where they would we could put out some brochures and some things with it, and
the commission, not the commission, but the
depot does that, don't they, or
Yeah.
something like that, but
They do
that's
that.
what we're trying to look at, is how can we develop the area historically and bring it back to more of the way it historically correct, and have a venue for people to come into Elkins and not just go here, but to go out into the downtown area at large and, spend money with our merchants and do those sorts of things.
And with the new benches and tables, people eat in the garden all the time. They're always there. And, so it would be fun, and we would like to develop tours.
And we have the database. It was made by an American.
Of all the buildings.
We have pictures, and not only do we have the downtown buildings, but we have the actual house.
Right.
And the database is built. We kinda need some help to get it out there. And we had thought one of the ways to get it out there is electronically. That it would be available. Another way to get it out is through the plaques, not perhaps every place, but pick some, especially good ones. So we've come a long way with that project.
Well, in a lot of communities, walking tours have become a big deal. And so, having another venue for people who ride the train to be able to grab a brochure that has a half a dozen historic sites. People love to do that, they'll go take a look at them and look at the history of them from a brochure or whatever.
And to have a house that you could walk into and see. And, it's not, we have a library also. So the library is there, and we used to get magazines and so on dealing with preservation, but there's a whole library there that people can use on architecture, history of the town, you know, the history of different types of architecture, how to do things, that kind of thing. So people are free to use that too.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? What I would like to see, from you all, if you could, is to go ahead and lay out a walking tour, that highlights, you know, how many of our structures that you all deem, utilizing the database that was created by the AmeriCorps, and put together a proposal for us as to what that is going to look like, because I think that's something that we would be interested in being supportive of. We could support it from our hotel motel tax because it promotes tourism, and also it's historic structures. And so, I think that would be, rather than, you know, going from an angle of supporting utilities and things like that, I think if we could do something that would be more along the historic tours, that would
Right, and
promote
it'd help us
tourism.
create
Yes.
something that we could
Yes.
produce, right.
So if you all could, at a future meeting, if you all could put together that information,
Okay.
we appreciate it. Yes, sir, Mayor.
If I can address something real quick, one thing that we're looking at for the future of Elkins is also to make it a smart city, so that when people are taking their tours, they can actually use a smartphone, scan something, and have that information in hand. That is the future across the United States and the world.
QR
So we are trying, yes, the QR codes are what we're looking at.
Yeah, that'd
So
be
we are
great.
planning for that right now, so just for your awareness.
Yeah, if you could even, like, you know, they were talking about this historical,
Right.
the plaques, if you could have one of those QR codes that you could scan it and give you the whole history, that'd be
Yes, sir.
awesome.
So I want you to know, we have had these discussions already.
Okay, fantastic. All right,
I'm going to, save this to your to your desktop.
okay, wonderful. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
Well, I think I can just pull it out, it doesn't have anything. And that will be right on there.
All right,
Thank
great,
you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is consider formation of the E911 board. All right, we have pulled, a copy of the state code regarding, the E911 center, from, chapter 24, article, Article 6, paragraph 5 and beyond. And one of the things that it recommends, or actually states, that each county or municipality shall appoint, for each answering point, an enhanced emergency telephone system advisory board consists of at least 6 members to monitor the operation of the system. And the board shall be appointed by the county or municipality, and shall include at least 1 member from the following: 1 fire service provider, or a minimum of 1 fire service provider, 1 law enforcement provider, 1 emergency medical provider, which would be hospital related, 1 emergency services provider, or EMS, the director, and the counties or municipalities can have a representative. And in addition to that, the director of the county or municipal enhanced telephone system actually serves as the ex officio officer or member of that advisory board. And so each of the appointments are for a term of 3 years, except that an appointment to fill a vacancy shall be for the unexpired term. All the members shall serve volunteer, and the board shall adopt any policies, rules, or regulations necessary for its own guidance. And the board shall meet either monthly or quarterly, and the board may make recommendations to the county or the municipality concerning the operation of the system. So this is something that was brought up at a recent meeting that we had with members of the our first responder community, something that they would like to see done. I've spoken with Cindy about the possibility of us establishing this advisory board, and so I think what it would do is just add another layer of advisory capacity for our system, and you know, we've had some issues with communications as far as radios and things. I think just getting everybody together in one place, having a conversation, having our 911 director involved, having the members of the law enforcement, first responder communities, the hospital involved, I think just will allow for greater, communication and also, more streamlined and better operations of our 911 center is the goal. So, with that, do you guys have any comments or questions?
No, just like you said, that when we went to that meeting, it was up in Beverly, I believe, wasn't it?
Yep.
Again, that was one that everybody agreed to, you know, and this is something that we're wanting to do to help it along, so.
Sergeant Simmons, you've actually participated in the 911 advisory board before, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I was on board with Pocahontas County for a year, and then I participated in the Preston County one for years prior to that, even though I wasn't an actual appointed member of the board, so, yes, sir.
Okay.
Sounds like a good prospect.
Yeah, we've asked. We've asked and he's accepted, so.
Okay, good.
But, Cindy, would you like to speak to this?
Pretty much you've covered everything. Do you want me to go over there?
Yes, please.
In March of 2020, the House and Senate basically rewrote the West Virginia Code on this specific piece, and they're parallel. They're not word for word exact, but they were passed. The Senate Bill 649 was passed on March 2nd, and the House Bill 4123 on March 7th. And it basically just went over what you just talked about. It says that who should be there, there's no compensation, it is an advisory board, and the list of the individuals' positions that should be on there.
Yeah.
The difference that, the only thing that I could see a difference was on the House bill, it says number 6 as the director being the ex officio, and on the Senate, it's not number 6, but it's just right below it, so it's very, very similar. The terms were the 3 years, they will either meet monthly or quarterly. And then they could make recommendations for equipment, maybe to help things run smoother and hopefully just open the lines of communications better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my hope is that they will see, what our challenges are. And maybe they'll have a better understanding of what we do.
Yeah, and a lot of, you know, when you bring different people who serve in different counties, you're bringing different people to the table from different perspectives, you know. The sheriff's department may have an issue that the state police may not necessarily have.
Correct.
That EMS may not have, and vice versa. So having that, you know, all those people at the table, I think will be an excellent way for us to flesh out the challenges that are there and be able to work on them and
I
attack them
agree,
one by one.
100%.
Okay, all right. So, Sheriff, you'd like to make a comment, or Kurt?
No, sir.
The only thing I have to say is I've been talking with the school board, Joseph Arbogast, and the school board has just put about $100,000 into the digital radio system for Randolph County, and they're gonna put a base station in Mill Creek around the George Ward School with an antenna, and there's gonna be one in Pickens at the school with a base station antenna. And they bought digital radios. When I talked to them the other day, they had 18 of them installed in the school buses that they have at this point. I can hear them chattering on the scanner. They're like kids in a candy store because they can hear each other talk from different points in the county already, just with the buses that they've put in. But by talking to Joseph, he asked, and we've talked about, we would like to be able to have the school bus frequency in our police radios, so that if, God forbid, something did crazy go happen out here in the county, we can talk to that bus that's having the problem. If there's a hostage or whatever the situation is, law enforcement can talk to them. They can talk back to us on the bus frequency. They can't talk on our law enforcement frequency, but we can talk to them, they can talk to us through that bus frequency. With that, I've asked him and told him of radio issues that we have with the sheriff's office now, and I know fire department has some issues as well. I don't know about EMS, but I've asked about that equipment that they're getting ready to install with antennas and stuff to save funds, if we couldn't kind of piggyback with them a little bit with their equipment that they're putting in, maybe us put an antenna or something on that tower that they're gonna put in. He's all for that. I've not heard any opposition to it whatsoever. So I just kind of, that way we can streamline money, and get as much bang for our buck as we can, working together with the school board. So that's, I mean, that's a long, explanation, but it's quite detailed, and they're in the process of it right now. And, he said as soon as those base stations go in with the antennas and with the towers, that, he would be in touch with me to see, and the commission to see, what we can do to make communications better across the county.
And you know, having you, or someone for your department serve on that board, you bring that recommendation to the board, and then you all work it out, bring it to us, and then we're able to do, you know, to do funding or whatever we need to do to make that happen. That's, you know, it's an excellent example of what this advisory board can do.
Alright, so we're just forming it today, we're not, are we gonna appoint today, or?
I think we just form today, and then we'll do appointments, maybe possibly the next meeting, so. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we, form a E911 board for the county.
All right, motion on the floor is to form an E911 advisory board for the county. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you very much, Cindy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is consider signing a letter of support for the Snowshoe Highlands Area Ride Center. All right, we've received a request from the folks at the Snowshoe Highlands Area Ride Center for a grant that they're applying to the Appalachian Regional Commission. And it is, the purpose of this is for them to be able to do what's called a strategic plan and IMBA gold gap analysis. And so this is the actual call, you know, the study that would allow them to take the next step in building out a mountain bike product development plan, identify potential gaps, and establishing timeline goals that will lead to the future successful bid to take the current silver designation to a gold one. If they receive this, it will be the first gold designated trail on the East Coast. So I mean, that could be a big deal. You know, Snowshoe receives a lot of BMX riders now, BMX riders, but being able to do this would, getting this gold designation could add to that significantly. So this is a request for a letter of support, so at this time I'll consider a motion to support that program.
Okay, I move that we approve the signing of letter of support for the Snowshoe Highlands Area Ride Center.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the letter of, so the signing of the letter of support to the Snowshoe Highlands Area Ride Center for this gold gap analysis. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider a quote from Castor Technical Services for ignition control module replacement in James Caden Annex. This is for the big gas heater that we have in the back in the old EMS area. That's not very old. I want to say, what, maybe 6-7 years old? Is that
Not even
that old?
No.
And so it currently has a ignition control module that they've had problems with, and they are telling us that if we replace this, that it will fix our issue with that. It's running more than it should. There's just some things that are happening with that.
Yeah, it's not lighting, the fan runs, the
Yeah.
motor runs, but it's not lighting.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. So this time I'll entertain a motion to accept that quote.
okay, I move that we approve to accept the quote from Casper Technical Services for ignition control module replacement in James Kane Annex in the amount of $935.38.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the quote from Casto. Casto is the company that does the servicing on all of our equipment for heating and air conditioning for the entire complex. And the amount of that contract is $935.38. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of board appointment for the Helvetia Public Library. All right, we have a request from the director of the library to reappoint Heidi Arnett. Her term's ending June of 2021, and they would like to renew her term for another 5 years. Is there a motion to approve that term?
I'll make a motion that we approve the, renewal of, Heidi Arnett to the Helvetia Library Board of Trustees.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the renewal of, I guess it's renewal, right? Reappointment, yeah, thank you, reappointment of Heidi Arnett to the Helvetia Board Library for another 5-year term beginning in July of 2021. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
It's good to get people to volunteer
Oh,
on these boards.
absolutely, absolutely. They do a lot of work. That's
They
a
do.
very active board up there, so.
Yeah, they are.
All right, next is consider donation to the Tigard Valley Lions Club for graduation lock-in. We received a request from the Tigers Valley Lions Club regarding their yearly Tigers Valley High School lock-in. Generally, each year, we're able to support that. Last year, unfortunately, because of the coronavirus, we were not, they did not have it. So, for the last several years, we've been able to support this organization and the work they do to keep kids safe at high school graduation. We do one for Elkins, and so they've asked us if we would consider doing this. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion for their support.
Okay, I move that we approve the donation to Tigers Valley Lions Club for the graduation lock-in. This year's graduation time is going to be May 20th of 2021. And now this funding be $2,000. And take it out of courthouse contraction.
Yep. Motion on the floor is to approve the donation to Tigers Valley Lions Club for the graduation lock-in, the amount of $2,000 that be taken from courthouse contractual. Is there any discussion?
Does it say where they're having it this year, or?
Let's see. I don't think it does. Have they done it in the YMCA in the past?
They have.
Yeah.
That's where my son had it here.
Okay, I think that's probably where
Okay.
we're planning on having it. So, good question, though. All right, any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next, is consider approval of an estimate for dormer repairs on the county jail. All right, we received an estimate. When we started doing the repair work on the jail, we received a, call from the contractor saying that the dormers that have stucco on them were damaged to the point where they were gonna have to receive significant repairs. And so we reached out to a few contractors to see. Most contractors do not do stucco work, particularly when it comes to being up on a roof. And so we received one estimate from CJ's Concrete and Construction in Bealington for an amount that would be an hourly rate. And generally, we normally approve a contract for a certain amount. In this situation, he just did not know how many hours it was going to take that off, and then what was gonna be behind that, and what was gonna be required to do that. So what they've done is he has figured 3 men at $35 an hour, plus the cost of scaffolding and materials. And he's figured enough hours that the approximate amount of the labor and materials to be between $4,500 and $6,000. So my recommendation is we would approve the estimate to the amount of $6,000. If it's more than that, we'd have to come back and reconsider. But he did tell me he feels like that upper end of that number should be enough to be able to do both of those dormers for us. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Now, there's 3 dormers. There's 3, right?
Just
I'd have to go look again.
Who was over, is there one on this side, cause I didn't notice, this side, the
Yeah.
front and the opposite side. There's three.
I think the damage those to the side doors, I don't think.
As long as they're, cause I was.
I tell you what, though, when we get back in touch with him, we will mention that and make sure.
I thought it was you, maybe it wasn't you. We were out there looking, I was like, there's 3 dormers on that thing.
Did you notice any, cause you can see the damage on the ones on the side, did you see
It
anything?
looked the
front?
same, so I don't,
Okay.
maybe not.
Does it have to be done before the roof or?
No, it actually is done after
After
the
the
roof
roof,
repairs are
okay.
completed, so.
So we're gonna say, I make a motion that we approve the estimate for the dormer repair from CJ's Concrete Construction, but the amount not to exceed $6,000
Okay.
per each dormer,
Is that for tomorrow?
per each dormer.
All right.
So if there's 3, just don't go over 3,
Yeah.
just don't go over 6,000 for each one.
All right. All right, motion on the floor is to consider, or to approve the estimate from CJ's Concrete for the dormer repairs on the jail roof, and that, not to exceed $6,000 per dormer, and that would be for the cost of labor, scaffolding, and materials. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item, consideration is consider leasing cruisers for the sheriff's department. As you all know, several years ago, or 2 years ago, I believe it was, when we entered into an agreement, or was it last year? Maybe it's last year.
I think it was last year.
Yeah, we entered an agreement with Enterprise Rental Car to do a lease program, and what we did is we started with 3 automobiles. One of them was from Community Corrections. We had the truck that we did for the plowing, and then there was one more.
The assessor's office.
Yeah, for the assessor's office, and, we've been very pleased with that program, and, so, when the new sheriff, came in, we knew we had issues with several of our vehicles being pretty high mileage, and, it was gonna cost more to, keep those things maintained than it was gonna be worth the cost of the vehicle. So we went back to Enterprise Rental Car and asked them to give us a, cost of what it would be for us to lease, vehicles, and so, we asked them if they would look at 3, 4, and 5 vehicles. We budgeted in our budget last year $90,000, up to $90,000 for the cost of these programs, and so, at this time, it looks like we've got enough to safely take care of the current fleet we have, plus, an additional, 4 vehicles. So at this time, I entertain a motion.
But this is something the city too does, isn't it?
We do, yeah.
You just got how many, 12? Wow.
So will that make does that make your entire fleet, will it all be leased?
They had 3 and they got 12 more.
Yeah.
We had
So they'll have
12,
15.
so we'll have 15 total,
Oh, wow.
but they'll all be uniform now.
But I love it, I like the fact that they monitor these vehicles, they make sure that you're getting out of them when they're at the maximum value and use, and so, you're constantly moving them, and, they keep your fleet looks great, and the fleet, the new vehicles look fantastic, so we're excited about this.
So that helps us.
And the thing about this is, with COVID, it's taken a long time to get these vehicles. We're looking at, if we approve this today, we're probably talking September, October, before we'll have a road ready
Potentially
vehicle.
November. It could even be as long as November.
So, but the reason why we're doing it now is if you don't put your order in, you're gonna get out of this model year, and then it could take more, a couple more months, 7
And
months.
they're the Ford Interceptors?
Yes. And they're the hybrids, and so that means that,
Is that what the city has? What do you have? You know what they have?
I don't recall exactly what Travis purchased this time.
I believe they're Explorer Interceptors, and I think they're hybrid as well. I know the ones we're looking at they idle a lot, and these things idle down, run on battery. And then if it's cold outside, your heater's on, it'll kick back up, warms it back up, and then shuts back off. They're pretty slick.
Yeah.
And we have 3 of those we're using, well, we have two on the road, and one's finishing getting the dog cage and everything in it now, so we'll actually have 3 of those.
So this will be an
This will
addition.
be 7.
So it'll be 7 hybrids.
Yeah, basically half the fleet.
Yeah,
will be
cause,
hybrids.
I remember Brady, he got those last time.
Yep. So,
If we done it like right now, we run them till they're 100,000 miles,
Oh, yeah,
and we either give them away or
That's exactly right.
auction them off for about 3 or 4
Yeah,
hundred.
they have no value,
No.
whereas now, you know, they can go in and say, yeah, this one, although it's a 5-year
Yeah.
lease, you know, this is 3 years into it, you got a whole lot of miles in here, you better
Time to
trade
get
this
rid
out,
of it, yeah.
right? So,
You know, we're gonna, with us getting these new ones, we'll decommission some that have extremely high mileage.
yeah, we identified last year, former sheriff identified, 5 vehicles that were really what he considered in the red zone. The mileage was so high that it was just, to maintain them was crazy expensive. And so, this is, you know, we replaced 3 of those. This will replace a couple more, then we've had a couple more that over the last year have gotten into that, you know, yellow or red range. So that gets all the ones that are in really bad shape off the road with new vehicles.
I've had one vehicle this year, we've put nearly $3,000 in repair and maintenance to, that's just high mileage, and it's worn out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something that we looked at when we were thinking about going with leasing, how much are we spending on all the repair on things too, so. All right, so I'll gladly make a motion, that we approve the leasing of the 4 cruisers for our sheriff's department.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the leasing of 4, 2021 Ford Utility Interceptor hybrid, vehicles for the sheriff's department. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is consider letter of approval for beer license for the Old Timers Reunion. The Old Timers Reunion from the Robertson Association happens each year. And each year they come to us and ask that we would approve approval of temporary ABC license. And we've never had any issues with them. They do a good, and they always invite us. I'd love to go see what they do sometime, but.
About that age group.
There you go.
A few more years.
I feel like an old timer. They qualify, so. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve,
Okay, I move that we approve the letter of support for the beer license for the Old Timers Reunion.
all right, motion on the floor is to approve the letter of support for the beer license for the Old Timers Reunion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item, and you know what, it's great to be approving these again. You know, it's been a year since we've been able to do stuff like this, so it's awesome to be able to do
Yeah, I
that.
don't think did they have it last year? I don't
They
think so.
did not, not when
I
they
don't
were approving
remember
them,
doing that.
so. All right, next is consider approval of a quote for battery backups for the Weiss Annex. We have had some power surges over at the Weiss Annex. We've had a couple power outages in the last month or so. And we had some old battery packs on the second floor. Those things were at the end of their life, and they have died. And so we have received 2 estimates, one from GST to replace those battery packs. The amount of each of those would be $605.94 for a total of $1,211. With shipping, it would be $1,322. And we also received an estimate from the Digital Soup to replace those battery cartridges for $3.99 a piece, and they would swap out the battery cells and the shipping, and the total amount of it is $455.17. So one recommended that we completely replace the container and everything. The other said that we didn't need to do that. All we needed to do was just to get out the old battery cartridges and replace the cells. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve one of these 2 estimates.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the Digital Suit estimate for the battery cell replacement at the Weiss Annex in the amount of $455.17.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the estimate from Digital Soup in the amount of $455.17 to replace the battery cartridges. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is to consider renewal of agreement with CityNet. For the last year or so, CityNet has been our provider for our high-speed internet using fiber optics. Before we used the old system, and we've switched over to fiber optics. And from all indications, we have been, very happy with that. They've sent us a renewal, for this, for the next 3 years. The amount of that monthly recurring cost will be $1,250, which is $200 less per month than what we initially signed up for. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the renewal of this service agreement with CityNet.
I'll make a motion that we approve the service agreement with CityNet as presented.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the CityNet renewal as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval for reimbursement request from the Randolph County Housing Authority for a CBDG CV1 grant funds. That was a mouthful.
Yes.
What this is we had applied for a grant with partnering with the Housing Authority, serving as the sub-grantee. What this does is it provides for rental assistance and utility assistance for citizens that are directly affected by the COVID virus. They received a grant in the amount of $172,450, but it's a reimbursement grant. So what they do is they spend the money, they come back to us, and then we request to be reimbursed from the funding from the COVID grant. So what this is the first draw of that, which is in the amount of $38,090.20. In order for us to, we will do a budget revision here in just a little while to move money over. It's about $20,000 or so a month to cover this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pay in advance from county funds to be reimbursed. The reason we're gonna do that is we're not gonna be subject to the 3-day requirement for distribution of federal funds. So by doing this, having the money we're reimbursing in advance, well, what'll happen is at the end of the term, the last reimbursement will satisfy and pay the county back for what we spent out. So, but it does make it easier for our accounts payable folks, also for our accounts receivable, not to have to try to turn this thing over in 3 days. So, at this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve the signature for the revision and then also for the first distribution of $3,890.20.
Okay, I'll move to approve the signature of the reimbursement request from Randolph County Housing Authority for the CBDG/CV1 grant funds in the amount of $3,890.20
And then also we need to approve the transfer of $30,000.
for the budget revision.
Yes.
And I also move that we approve the budget revision in the amount of $30,000.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the first distribution to Housing Authority of $3,890.20. And then also to approve the corresponding budget revision for $30,000 to be moved from the Fund
General
160,
fund.
yeah, well, that's Fund 160,
Okay.
so to the CBD grant line item.
Okay.
All right, amount of $30,000. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is consider funding request from Elkins Babe Ruth Baseball League. All right, we have a request from the Babe Ruth Baseball League for COVID-related expenses, additional expenses. What's happened is, this past year, the Babe Ruth normally does fundraisers that allow them to be able to fund the operations of their concession stands and also to be able to do, to support the league. And with the onset of the COVID virus, they are now having to change to where they're gonna have people that are trained in, and have a food handler's card for the concession stand. Whereas before they were able to use volunteer family members and things, now they're gonna keep it, I think, to 6 to 10 people that will have the class, and they will divide those up into the 62 games they play in the year. So they've come to us and asked us if we would help them with the cost of the of training the people for the class. And so at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I move that we approve a funding request from the Elkins Babe Ruth Baseball League, and the amount of that being $165. That's to help pay to get the food handler's card, and that'll be taken out of hotel motel tax
Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the request from Babe Ruth Baseball, in the amount of $165 from hotel motel tax to help cover the cost of the food handler's card for the workers. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is consider approval of quote from Mount Olive for road signs. All right,
This is newspaper worthy
yes,
information, right?
this is a part of the 911 road sign project. You can see,
Yeah,
here
that's
is
a good picture
actually
right there.
proof of all the road signs. This is only one part. By the time it's over with, we're gonna have pages and pages of this.
But that's for Colton. maybe?
Colton, Jimtown, Norton, Hardy area of the county. And so what this will do is it covers, this is the actual proofs they send to us, and the size of the sign depends on the actual size of the road name. So you can see, most of them are 24 inches. We have about 8 of them that are 30 inches, and we have 3 of them that are 36 inches. And so the folks at Mount Olive Prison, through the West Virginia Correctional Industries, creates these signs. They said that they can turn these signs around for us in about 3 weeks.
Mhm.
And so at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the purchase of the first signs for the road project.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the, quote from Mount Olive for the road signs, for our first project with the road signs, and that amount is $2,854.80.
And that can be taken from our COVID funding for this year, not the new COVID money, the old COVID money. It's very confusing. We still have some leftover COVID money from last year that we're able to use, so we're gonna use that for this project. So, there's a motion on the floor to approve the quote from West Virginia Correctional Industries in the amount of $2,854.80, for the creation of the first 149 road signs for the 911 project. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. If people knew the work in the background it took to get us to this point, this is a good day, good day. All right, next item on the agenda is regarding the actual signs that the markers will.
The post.
Yeah, the post, thanks, sir. So, again, we have a quote, now this is, the first amount that we're doing is for like 149 signs. This would be for 500 posts and post stubs. So the way the guidelines work is we have to do a 4-foot stub, and then we connect the 8-foot sign to the stub, and we attach the sign on that post. And so, this takes a little bit longer. We ordered this through the West Virginia Department of Highways, and so the total cost for this would be $12,736.25, and it can be taken again from leftover COVID funding. So this time I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the quote for the road sign replacement from the
Department of Highways.
DOH in the amount of $12,736.25.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the,
Taken from the old code.
to approve the estimate, or the quote from the Department of Highways for 500 signs and stubs in the amount of $12,736.25 to be taken from the previous COVID money. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's the post from
Yes.
DOH.
Yeah, that's the post.
Yeah, the signs
Two-piece
from the other-
post.
Yeah.
Yeah, these things are like, these are the higher grade, these are the same signs that you have your stop signs, your yield signs, all those, it's the exact
post.
same post. And those will be stored, the DOH is actually gonna allow us to store those at the old, what they call the quarter H maintenance facility. So it's behind a lock gate, and so it'll be, we'll have to try to store them here, they'll be stored out there, and the contractor will have access from 6 o'clock in the morning to like 7 o'clock at night to be able to get.
So we've approved the contractor.
Yes, sir.
Now we got the post and the signs on order for him.
Mhm.
That's
So
correct.
we'll be getting started very soon.
Very soon.
Yes.
We've designated the first area, it's the Colton area, right?
Yes, that's correct. And then I think after that, it's the Dry Fork area. Those are the 2 areas that seem to have the most issues with emergency services, delivery. That's why we're able to use the COVID funding, because, at a time when, you know, with the pandemic, you know, seconds matter. If someone's having in distress, and so being able to get to those folks as quickly as possible, finding those signs is very helpful, so, good day, good day. All right, next, item on the agenda is consider request for PPE from the Elkins Depot Welcome Center. All right, we received a request from the Elkins Depot Welcome Center. They are going to reopen, they voted last evening to reopen full-time, beginning, I believe it's the 17th of May. So, and they're gonna have, people coming in, they'll be open during the summer concert series to answer questions for people that are coming in for that. And, part of that is that they are looking at, putting in a large, plexiglass, in front of their counter, and then also hand sanitizers at their door. And, we're probably looking at a cost of about $1,500 for that, our part of trying to get that taken care of. Some of the hand sanitizer thing we'll be able to get from 911 through OEM. So, this time I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I move that we approve the request for PPE from the Elkins Depot Welcome Center, and the amount being $1,500, taken out of hotel motel.
Actually, I think we can take that out of COVID funds.
Yeah, you're right,
For
that's
the
true,
PPE.
true.
I'm pretty sure PPP.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll work.
Yes,
Can come out of COVID.
there you go. So,
Visitor center too is not.
Yep.
But yeah, we can take it out of the COVID, do it.
all right, so the motion on the floor is to approve $1,500 to be taken out of COVID funding for, help with the Depot Welcome Center, for the plexiglass, and also the sanitizer at the doors. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm just glad
Motion
they're,
carries.
glad they're opening back up.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we're trying to get back to normal again. It feels good, so. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of contract labor for animal control officer. We're running into situations where we only have one animal control officer. You all know last year, actually it was December of 2019 that he was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And, he was out for almost all of 2020. Fortunately, we were able to adopt a leave donation program. He did not miss a paycheck. But it created a tremendous amount of issues when it came to filling up those gaps. And what's happening is that even when our animal control officer is not at work, he's still at work. And so, he's asked that we consider, having someone that will be able to fill in when he's off, so that it's, you know, someone else can handle the phone and handle complaints.
Yeah, so you don't get so far behind.
Yes.
We used to have someone that did that, but
Yeah.
everybody's retired and.
Yeah, exactly, and by the way, I wanna say, Jim Kane filled in admirably for Charlie when he was out. He worked that entire year, didn't complain, did the job, but at the end of that year, I can tell you, he was tired and ready to retire again.
He said, don't call him again.
Yeah, he said, don't call me, I'll call you, and so, but, Chris did reach out to, Diana Coda, I
Yes.
believe, and she has agreed to work, not as she doesn't have to be a part-time
needed.
employer. She's only as needed, so she will be a contract laborer, for animal control. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve, that.
Okay, I move to approve the contract labor for animal control, and the name of that person be Diane Coda.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve Diana Coda as a contract laborer for animal control to fill in for
Hire
Charlie.
for as needed.
Yeah, as we need them. So is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is consider renewal of liability workers' compensation insurance coverage. We've received, from West Virginia Corporation, the West Virginia Risk Pool, our annual, renewal for insurance. We've looked it over, and, like the coverage, one of the things that they've done this year is they have, changed the cyber risk coverage and allowed for greater limits of liability. The current limit of liability is $250,000, or is it $50,000? I think $50,000. Now see,
I think
did I cross myself up here? Let's see. Hang on a
Was it
second. I'll get to
50,000
that
before?
page.
We had a good insurance, agent, look at this for us. So-
Yeah, now he's confused. All right, let's see. And you know, I can't find it when I'm looking for it. But anyway, when we looked at it, we felt like the coverage, limits coverage would be enough, to cover what we needed. Whenever they had the big issue at, Harrison County, it cost them about $50,000 to get that back up and running. And, you know, West being a smaller county, we feel like that the coverages are adequate for what we have. It's $250,000 per occurrence with $1 million aggregate. So we felt like $250,000 was plenty of coverage for us, for our needs. And also, I gotta say, GST's done a really good job of keeping us safe. I mean, they do
The
a
firewalls
excellent
and
job.
everything.
Yes. So, they assure us that, that we are protected from some of the things that happened with the ransomware that happened to Harrison County. But one of the things that we did notice is the coverage, the cost of all of our coverage went up. Workers' compensation went down a little bit. They gave us about a $4,000 rebate or dividend, but with that, we had an increase of about $22,000 over prior year, so.
Also had the pool.
That's true, yep, we've got the pool there now, and so, we got newer vehicles on there and that type of thing. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the renewal of the insurance.
Okay, I move that we approve the renewal of the liability and workers' comp insurance coverage as submitted.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the renewal of the liability and workers' compensation coverage as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we'll get that signed and back off to them. All right, next item on the agenda is consider approval of a letter of intent to apply for West Virginia Department of Transportation alternative grants. All right, this is approval.
That's what we talked to Peggy.
Yes, this is
Okay.
approval of a resolution. Department of Transportation puts out a couple of grants each year. One of them is that's involved with like the rail trail program. But then there's also what's called a DOT alternative program. This is used for any type of alternative transportation. One of those things being sidewalks. And you all know we're doing a sidewalk project out here this year that we received funding for, but there's also other sidewalks in our facility that are not ADA compliant. And so what this would do is allow us to apply for this grant funding to get our sidewalks into ADA compliance. If you walk out, you'll see there's big cracks and gaps from, where it's salted over the years. It's caused damage. There's damage to a wall out there that's not covered under our current grant. So this would allow us to apply for that. So this time I'll entertain a motion that we approve this, the signature of the county clerk on the resolution to apply for the West Virginia DOT alternative program grant.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the signing of the letter of intent for the WVDOT Transportation Alternative Grant by our county clerk.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the letter of the county, or the signature of the county clerk on a letter of intent to apply for the WVDOT Transportation Alternative Grants. Any discussion? All in favor?
Been a long day.
Yeah.
Hey, I almost made it through without
That's your
getting
last
tongue
one.
tied. All right, that covers all of our agenda business.
All in favor?
Yep.
Did I,
You didn't say that?
did I?
No.
Oops. Almost made it through it without tripping. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now see, if we'd only had 18 items on the agenda, we'd have been fine.
Perfect.
All right, some final settlements and annual accounts.
I make a motion we approve the 12 final settlements as presented.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the 12 final settlements as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, budget revisions.
None.
The sheriff.
From the sheriff.
Let's see what the sheriff has here. Let's see, he wants to
What's he want?
increase his
New
jail
pistols?
uniform, and he's taking it out of jail maintenance. So, he's got, I tell you what, you got a big fella needs some
You
uniforms.
see that boy?
Yeah.
I just saw him go through there. He walks up to me, I say, yeah, I did it.
That's the truth. He has to duck.
He ducks when he comes through the door.
I know.
He goes down, he takes his head down.
So his uniforms are
Extra,
big.
extra.
Yeah, we ordered shirts for him and had to send them back. They did not,
Wow,
they weren't big enough.
wow. So, at this time, we'll entertain a motion that we approve the in-house budget revision for the sheriff. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the in-house budget revision for the sheriff for his, jail uniform and jail maintenance lines.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the in-house budget request for the, jail uniforms. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next one is in-house budget revision for, the sheriff to increase the TF investigation line item, and, that would be coming from the TF equipment funds. So, the amount of that's $3,000.
I'll make a motion.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the in-house budget revision for, the sheriff for his investigations, TF investigations from the TF equipment line.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve this in-house budget revision as presented. Sheriff?
Any discussion?
This is a good and bad thing. I'm having to ask to adjust for money to be transferred into that line item, because, let's just say our task force is very, very active right now. And, I'm having to move money to be able to use it for further endeavors, let's put it that way.
Okay.
And I can't say a whole lot, but when these guys are active, things are moving in the right direction.
And we're glad to see the investigation, unfortunately, have to be done, we're glad to see them being done, and also too, you know, the task force is a multi-county agency, we serve as the fiscal agent for that, so we handle the money, but, we're glad to see that you guys are active and getting things taken care of, so.
I know my task force commander, is prepared and has 20 new cases he's taken to the court, to start the process for prosecution.
Wow. So motion on the floor is to approve the in-house budget revision as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next one, we have a request from, 911 to, increase the amount of the 911 bonds and insurance by $1,000, increase contractual services by $1,000, and decrease the computer software line item by $2,000. So this is in-house budget revision, to be taken all from, 712, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve the in-house budget revision for the 911, as presented.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the, in-house budget revision for 911 as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, last one's the in-house budget revision, for increasing the dog warden longevity pay and decreasing the training and education line item by $45. So I need a motion to approve that.
Okay, I'll move to approve the in-house budget revision for the dog warden longevity pay in the amount of
See you, Mayor.
$45.
Thank you, Jerry. Take
See
care.
ya.
Always a pleasure.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the in-house budget revision as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. All right, Division of Property Erroneous Assessments.
Small folder is the division of property and the
All right, so I make a motion that we approve the 17 erroneous assessments as presented.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the 17 erroneous assessments as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Then I make a motion that we approve the 2 division of properties as presented.
All right, motion on the floor to approve the 2 provision of properties as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any distressed properties this time? All right, they'll be meeting, I think, this coming Thursday. Correct?
Well, I wanna thank them for the progress on the old house on Ward Road that has been abandoned, that modular home that's been abandoned for years. It's finally, they're taking the siding and stuff, so there's some action going to that, so I appreciate that. I know the people that live out there too do too.
All right, fire fee adjustments.
And then we go. 19. Yeah, I'll move that we approve the 19 fire fee adjustments as submitted.
All right, motion on the floor is to approve the 19 fire fee adjustments as submitted. Is there any discussion? I'd like to say Letitia, over in the sheriff's office who administers this fire fee program, has been doing a lot. She actually, after fire fee season ended, she went back through and she's been reviewing files and coming up with things. And, so please let her know, we really appreciate it. She's doing a really good job.
Very thorough.
Yes, yes, so, all right, So the motion on the floor is to approve the 19 fire fee adjustments as submitted. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, payment of bills.